So
Okay.
this is Michelle, and Michelle's son Robbie was 3. No, how old was he?
4.
Was 4, and he came to the summer program. And so, can you just describe how Robbie was before he came here?
Well, Robbie had a hard time with lots of people and noises, and he didn't like going anywhere new. He was very comfortable just at his home, where he did fine. But if we went anywhere outside of the home, he would throw tantrums. At school, he was very aggressive with the other kids, so he was pushing and just being overall aggressive, and had lots of tantrums and just didn't want to participate at all in school things. So I just got to the point where I couldn't deal with it anymore, and do you want me to go on and talk about how I started this process of figuring out what to do?
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. Just keep talking.
Okay.
That's great.
So originally I thought maybe it was autism, and so we had him go in, and they said it definitely wasn't autism. And then I found another place that told me that it was sensory integration disorder, and so he went through therapy there, but it just wasn't giving enough results. It was like he would be fine right after the therapy for maybe a couple days, and then by the end of the week it was like he needed to go again, and it just wasn't doing enough. And so then when I was looking for a new preschool for Robbie, I met Shelly, who knew Becky, and she told me about her, and I kind of wanted to follow through with the therapy that I was doing and seeing if that was working, but when it was clear that it wasn't doing enough and that he still wasn't ready to do well in school, then I decided to contact Becky, and so over the summer he went to the program here. Now what? Talk about.
Well, why don't you talk about once you started the program, how soon did you start seeing any changes or any results, or what was different maybe from what you experienced before?
Well, initially when we started with the exercises, I was very skeptical because I think it actually got worse for the first couple of weeks, and I was very worried because it was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be spending all this money, and is it actually going to work? And so it did actually get worse, I think, for the first 2 weeks. And then I think probably more after a month, then it really started to kick in, the exercises. And actually more when he started going to school. We first started with the exercises, but then when he started going to school, it was like probably a week after the school started, and he was definitely getting more relaxed. So a lot of that was that he really relaxed and wasn't so tense and stressed out. So I think the stress had to do a lot with it. And then as far as how he started to change, well, he was less stressed and less aggressive, therefore less aggressive. And he just became a happy boy. He just, was not so angry all the time, and that was a huge part of it. And then another part, of course, was the social. He really needed the social skills therapy, and I liked how Becky had everything was all in one package, where if you go and do another form of therapy, they're addressing the sensory side but not the social side, and you would have to go to social skills therapy and to sensory therapy and to speech therapy. But when Robbie was here, he was getting everything all in one package. So another thing besides the social and the sensory was the speech therapy. And I think after 1 month, he was all these words that he couldn't say. He was saying all his blends, which they had been telling me he would need several months of speech therapy to be saying these word blends. Anyways, so he was saying those, and his speech had somehow miraculously gotten better, and the social, and so kind of all the package, I guess.
So can you share the story about he just was in a musical a couple nights ago?
So, a year ago, I had decided to pull him out of preschool where he was at because we were in a Christmas program, and he absolutely couldn't handle it. He was screaming during the performance. He was covering his ears, and he was just freaking out. His eyes just got big, and he just could not handle it whatsoever, so we had to leave. And at that point I was like, he's not like the other kids because they're all doing just fine with it. So just last Thursday night at his new preschool, they had a Christmas performance, and it was amazing. I mean, he was probably one of the best kids there because he was sitting and waiting patiently, for one thing, actually sitting in a seat where he normally would be moving all over the place, and he was waiting his turn for his performance. And then when he was up there for the performance, he was singing all the words and participating, and there was so many people there, and the people didn't bother him, and the music didn't bother him at all. And he loves music, so it's very exciting because now he can participate in something that he really loves.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
So now, how do you see his future? How do you see his future now compared to like before?
You know, I think originally when he was diagnosed with sensory integration, they're like, well, he might outgrow it. Nobody would tell me, what was gonna happen. They couldn't give me no definitive answer. When I came to see Becky, she was like, oh yeah, he's gonna be totally fine, and this will be okay. And I was like, wow, okay. And so now I see him as a regular 4-year-old, and 4-year-olds are challenging either way. And so I think it's just a normal challenge now rather than this daily struggle. So I think that, well, for one thing, he's very bright, and so I think that he has, a great future, I guess. And now he can learn and do all the things with other kids that he wants to do and be a normal kid, I guess.
What I love is not only is he very bright, very social, but he's also very polite. There's a lot of please and thank yous, and so that's really good to hear in kids. What can you tell families who really want to help their kids or willing to do anything it takes, and they're looking at this program, but they're thinking, it sounds too good to be true, or I don't know if I want to invest that kind of money because I've already tried so many things, I'm into so many other things. What can you tell families to help them make a good decision?
I think you get to the point where the family's not happy anymore, and you have to do something. Otherwise, you just can't continue with the behavior like that. And so you kind of have to put a priority on what is most important in your child's and your family's future. So I guess we just decided we had to make sure that it was just taken care of. So, if you put a value on that over anything else, then it's something you just have to do.
And it's worth it.
It's worth it because we definitely saw the results, and it is nice to hear from other people that it actually does have a result. I mean, Shelley, she changed my life when I met her because now through her school and your school and everything's just turned around. And he still definitely has his quirks. But
like you said, he's 4.
Yeah, he's 4. And,
a bright 4-year-old.
It's definitely, a work in progress, but it's just amazing how he is now compared to a year ago.
There's a difference between being a quirky 4-year-old and, like you said, being a really difficult or challenged and stressed out or angry.
I wouldn't call him really difficult anymore. Yeah, he's quirky a little bit.
Aren't we all?
There's nothing wrong with that. It definitely makes him unique, and I enjoy being around my son now. I really do. So, which a year ago, I don't know if I could say that.
Well, I think a lot of parents can relate to that.
Yeah.
And that's a hard thing to recognize. I mean, to feel that way because you feel like I'm a bad parent.
Yeah.
I don't even want to be around my son.
Well, that's another thing. Like when I had him diagnosed, or when they said that he wasn't autistic, the doctor there, I can't believe this, but she told me that he needed better discipline, and that was it. And she didn't even tell me about the sensory integration. She just said that he's not very well disciplined, which makes you feel like, great, well, I'm just a failure, and we're super nanny when you need her, I guess.
It's all my fault, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, parent guilt is huge. It's huge.
Wow, that's amazing.
I mean, you know, I hear that all the time. People think it's that their fault. When yes, there's definitely something you can be doing, but you know, you need to be given those tools, I guess.
Have you made any other modifications? I'm just kind of curious, like in terms of dietary or anything beyond just once you started with Becky, or
for me, the diet thing didn't change anything. And I know that it's definitely a factor in a lot of kids, but I really don't think it was at all a factor in Robbie's case, the diet. Or I tried, nothing changed, and I think he's a super taster too or something, because anything that I tried to add to his diet, like the oils and stuff, I mean, I really tried, he didn't want to have anything to do with it, so.
Yeah.
That portion did not work for me.
Yeah.
But exercise is definitely.
Yeah.
I have a super taster as well,
Yes.
so I know what that's like.
Yes.
It's impossible.
Like, really? I cannot taste the difference.
Right.
He can taste the difference in brands and everything. It's like, okay.
It must be tied to the sensor. I mean, it makes sense if there's heightened sense, right? I mean, all your senses probably.
And for safety, you have to pay attention to all the little nuances of everything, including your foods. Like being able, he could go be a taste tester.
I think he has a future as a chef or something. Yeah. Because really,
they say chefs have an extra taste bud.
They have to.
That some of us don't have. So my son cooks and is a chef. Yeah. My one son that used to be autistic.
Wow.
He is a chef now. So yeah.
That's great.
Who knows?
And anything else you want to add?
I don't know if you have any more questions.
That was fabulous.
No, that's great. Thanks.